Welcome to the You've Changed podcast. I'm here with my guest today, Allie Athanasio.
Nailed it.
Did I?
You nailed it.
Yes. Okay. This is the podcast where I talk to my guests about changes they've made in their lives, big and small, and how it's sort of altered their path. So firstly, how are you? Thank you for joining me here.
I'm so good. It's
You're
so
just
great.
fresh-
Thanks for having me.
Fresh back from Australia.
Fresh back from Oz.
Where in Australia?
Sydney.
I have never
Beach babe.
I've never been to anywhere in Australia. I was supposed to go right at the start of 2020, right before lockdown, like the week before. I had a flight the next week after lockdown started. And I was like, no, fuck it. I'm going to go. I'm going to get on this plane. I'm going to do the Melbourne Comedy Fest. I'm going to go over to Sydney,
Oh my
do a bunch
God,
of
you
shows.
would have been stuck.
And I would have been stuck down there. But I was like saying, I don't care. I'm just going to get on a flight and go down. And then they locked it. And thank God I didn't, because I literally would have been stuck.
Yeah, not the place to be stuck. I'm a bit of a Sydney hater.
Were you here or there for...
I moved halfway. I came in July 2020. I thought
you were here when I came over. I thought
Yeah.
we were both kind of moved over here at the same
Yeah,
time.
so I was
like
here end of 2019.
Yeah.
And then I went home for Christmas.
Yeah.
Went out for Australia Day, got drunk, left my wallet in a taxi, which had my residency permit in it.
No.
So I was just like waiting for the visa, like for my visa office appointment. And my office appointment was 3 days after the world shut down and the office shut down with it. So I just was like hanging out in Sydney.
You were just hanging out
Like
there.
at my mum's house, like
Yeah. Was
with my
it kind
brother.
of, did it kind of feel like you were back in like school and like, or
Yeah,
were you a bit like,
yeah.
no, I'm an adult. I can't handle this.
No, I felt 12 again.
Yeah.
It was nice. I lent into it. It was great. But yeah, I was just like, I was ready. I just literally, the visa office reopened. I went in like the day after and I flew out 2
And
weeks
you're like,
later.
get me out of here.
I was like, I'm done.
Why are you a Sydney hater, you're saying?
I've been there my whole life.
Right.
And it's just, it's a great place to holiday.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone wanting to go on a holiday, stunning, don't live there. I am from the hills as well, which is like the Stepford Wives Bible Belt of the country.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I live on the same street as Hillsong, baby.
Were you religious?
Absolutely not. I grew up in the church.
Did you grow up? Yeah, you
Oh
grew
yeah,
up in
I grew
it.
up in the church.
Okay.
Oh, do I have some stories? Yeah, no, I grew up in the church.
Yeah.
Half my family is still really involved in it.
What do they think of your like heathen lifestyle? I mean, so people who don't know you, you're a model, you're an influencer.
I am. I'm an actor. I'm
You're
a
an
presenter.
actor,
I do
yeah.
it all. I live a.
You do everything. So
life.
what do they think of that?
They're all very supportive. I'll give them
Okay.
that. Like super, super supportive. Yeah, they've always been like, chase your dreams of your life, which is
Oh
lovely.
wow, okay.
But yeah, don't get me wrong. Like there are dinner table arguments,
Yeah.
birthday party arguments, the whole lot.
Because you're just doing like cocaine with a bunch of other models. Not that
Literally.
you are. Not that you are, but other models.
Do you know what though? I'm really open about it because like honestly, like my dad.
What is the
Like-
scene in a fashion show? Like, is it just mayhem back there and everyone's
Oh my
like
God, it's
doing coke and throwing up and
madness.
stuff?
It's madness.
That's what
and
I
like,
picture.
you know, someone will like, some poor like stylist is trying to put your shoe on and then some girl will run past you and like flick her shoe and it'll hit the stylist in the head and she'll be like, oh my God, fuck. It's intense.
And she's like, I'm living my dream in the
literally,
fashion industry.
I know. And they're just all poor like fashion students. And I'm like, babes, like aim higher. This is not where you want to be.
Oh God. But is that just how you have to?
That is like, it's a bit of a rite of passage for them, which is so
Yeah.
shitty. It's
Yeah.
so awful. But yeah, Fashion Week is ridiculous and fashion shows are ridiculous. And they go for like 12 minutes.
I mean, it is crazy, but here's the thing. That's like what we do with stand-up, right? We practice and do all this stuff, and we do all these
Literally.
gigs and do all this, and then we'll go on stage for like 10 or 20 minutes or whatever, or maybe if we get an hour or whatever, if we get to do it.
And then that's
but
it.
still, that's not very long.
It's not
all
long at
things
all.
considered.
It's not long at all. Then like you'll have the designer like losing their shit backstage,
Yeah,
like,
of
running
course.
around without a head, and then it's like smiles, everyone's out, fashion show over, happy days, everyone goes home, and well,
Yeah.
no, that's actually a lie. Everyone goes out and takes cocaine and gets drunk.
How long have you been modeling for?
10 years.
10 years.
years
How
this
did you
month.
start?
I did a certificate in performing arts.
Okay.
And then I was probably maybe like, I want to say like 4 days into it and I realized it was not for me.
Right,
But
okay.
I was like, oh, well, you know, we've paid for the course now, so
Yeah,
I'm going to do it. And I did it for a year and I fucking hated it. I hated it so much. I love performing. I
Yeah.
love that whole side of it. But I hated the school I went to. I did not
Was
get
it in
along.
London? No, it was in
It was
Sydney.
in Sydney. I
yeah.
did not get along with my course director very well. We butt heads over everything.
Yeah.
And so I kind of came out of it just very lost and I didn't know where to go or what to do. Really had big dreams of going to New York. I wanted to go and study in the States.
Doesn't everyone have dreams of going to New
Everyone
York?
has that dream.
I had that
Everyone
dream
has
too
that
when I was
dream.
little. I was like, go to New York, I'm going to become an actor and a comedian and do all these things.
That was it for me. And
Yeah.
I spent when I was studying, I spent some time in New York and then I, came back, finished my course and I was like, yeah, that's where I want to go. That's what I want to do. And then I just had this fear that at I was 19. No, I wasn't. I hadn't even turned 19 yet when I graduated. And I was like, New York's going to swallow me whole. I'm gonna become a shell of a human being, and I'm gonna die. That was literally what I thought would happen. And then I had a really special acting teacher in my course, and we got along really, really well. And he was like, "Babe, you should get into modeling." And I was like, "Oh my God, Russ, that's so
That
sweet."
seems like such a groomy thing to say.
Literally, I know.
You should model. Do you want to come over to my flat
literally,
later?
and like he's so sweet. He's literally the loveliest man alive. But it was a little bit like that. And I was like, Russ, like that's really sweet. But I'm not like a stick insect, so I just don't think there's any like market for me.
Right.
And he was like, "Oh my God, no, there totally is. You need to get into curve modeling." And I hadn't even realized it was a thing. Like you walk through like shopping centers and you see models who are not, size zeros, size sixes on like billboards and everything everywhere. Yeah. And I'd never put two and two together that they're obviously represented by someone and that's their job. So I sent out a bunch of images to a bunch of agencies, and I got a call, and I went in for a meeting, and I signed a contract on the spot, and that was it. That was it.
I feel like that is not the story of like, you know how most people are like, and I struggled and I got so many. You're like, I walked in and they told me I was really hot and I signed the contract and now I'm rich. Like
honestly, they had some like, I really thought all the odds were stacked against me. I was like, oh, I'm like a size like 18. I was like, I don't know if that's gonna like really be their thing. X. And then I was like, oh, I'm only like 5'5.5", big X. And they kind of walked in and they were like, no, we kind of like that you're not like
the typical.
And I was like, that's a really lovely double-handed compliment.
But it is. Fuck that. And you're gorgeous. So hello.
Like, yeah, like I got along with all the agents there so well. And like now my agent there's like my second mum.
So you're still with the same agency?
I'm still with the
10
same
years
agency,
later.
10 years later in Australia. So I'm rep by Bella in Australia, and they're great. I flipping love them. They're like family.
Oh, good.
We've worked together for so long. It's just what happens. And I was like, I'm going to do London. I was like, I'm leaving. Australia's a tiny industry. What's
the biggest campaign you've shot for?
Oh, the biggest.
I guess that's like debatable because
it is debatable. I think the most fun campaign I've ever shot was a Coco and Eve campaign in Bali. That was like next level. We had the good villa for a week. It was very bougie.
They're all the fake tanner stuff, right?
Yeah, literally.
Do you love fake tanning?
Not anymore. When I was in Australia, all I did was fake tan. I wouldn't leave the house without a tan.
I knew an Australian girl. I used to work with her, and she was tanorexic. She used to call herself. And I was like, that was the first time I'd ever heard tanorexic.
Literally.
She looked, it looked like she was doing blackface, but she was just literally tanning herself so hard that she looked like a different race. And I was like, where are your friends?
Yeah, that was me.
Where are your friends
and I
telling
had like,
you it's not good?
I had like white blonde hair as well, which made me look like 10 shades darker than
I once had white blonde hair, and I'm like a pinky, like neon white color. So it was just like skin hair, and
honestly,
I just looked insane.
I look crazy.
like,
I'm going to send you a picture
like
later.
An actual crazy
I have a really good reference picture. It's awful. Like, it's so bad.
I also had black hair once, and like bangs, like or
oh my
fringe
God,
straight
I
across
did the
and,
same
like,
thing.
Hair.
I cut my hair like the Grudge child.
Yeah.
To be fair, I asked for like an auburn brown.
Oh no, I was like, I'm goth. I hate my parents. Give me black hair. This is me being a rebel.
See, this is the thing. I didn't try to lean into it, and then she dyed my hair black, and then I was like, oh well, got to go with the narrative now. And then I became a goth kid who hated my parents.
Right? And I like had like a chain wallet, and I wore like skater shoes. I didn't know how to skateboard, and I was just a fucking chubby loser in the corner. Like I was just not at all fitting into that crowd. I didn't fit in anywhere.
I had a fake lip ring.
Oh my God.
It's fake.
But fucking thank God it was fake.
Thank God for that. Can you imagine?
I just saw a girl on TikTok who had like the dimple piercings, and she was pulling them out because they got infected, and now she just has like holes in her cheeks. And I was like,
yeah, it's just really not a vibe, is it?
It's your face.
It is
just protect your face. I support like, it's your face.
I know. I went down the piercing road, but from like here down. I was like, I'll get my nips pierced.
Tell me, do you have your nipples pierced?
I do have my nipples pierced.
Oh.
My mum got my nipples pierced for my 19th birthday.
What?
She was like, what do you want? And I was like, I want a tattoo, Mum. And I was going to have, oh my God, this is the most embarrassing story ever. I was going to have the quote from the Twilight book. And so the lion fell in love with the lamb, tattooed on the arch of my fucking right foot. And my mum was like, I really think you should just think about that. And she was like, do you maybe want to get a piercing?
No, Twilight is forever, Mom.
Twilight is forever, Mom.
It's never going to go out of style.
Honestly. And she was like, maybe we should go down the piercing road. And my best friend at the time had just had her nipple pierced.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, maybe I should just do this. And then I don't do things half-assed, so I got them both done.
Was your mom there when you did it?
She was not there when I did it.
Okay. You're not that close.
I have a video of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it was thrilling. But I was dance teaching at the time, and I was teaching like all these little kids.
You're
and,
a
like,
dancer too.
I
Oh
was
my
a-
God,
yeah,
you literally do it all.
So I was teaching at the time, and like I just had them done, and I had no bra on because like
Obviously.
never wear them. And I remember like getting to the studio and all the kids coming to hug me, and I was like, no one fucking touch Miss Allie.
Yeah.
Everyone back up.
No one touch Miss Allie's
Everyone
titties.
back up.
But I guess it's just a good rule generally for
Good
kids
rule generally
not to
for
touch your
kids.
tits.
Exactly. But yeah, I was like, no one's allowed to jump on Miss
I
Allie.
love that your mom supported you doing that.
She really did.
Is she like
really
a badass?
did.
Does she have tattoos and piercings and stuff?
She actually doesn't. She is a bit of a badass though. My mum's
Yeah.
nickname is Stifler's mum.
Stifler. Oh my God.
Yeah, her name's Janine as well, which is Stifler's mum's name in the movie. And,
Oh my God,
And
I
yeah,
love
so
that.
that's always been her nickname. And she's like, my mum is a cool mum. She's a cool mum.
Just a cool mom.
Yeah, she's great. She's everyone's best friend.
Oh, I love that. So give me something. What do you think's happened? It doesn't need to be anything big. It can be if you want, whatever you want. What's something that happened in your life that changed, or it changed you, and it can be kind of any event that you want, or
Fab. So what changed me massively is I moved to London. I came back to London because I fell in love online. Oh.
Give me the details.
Yeah, so it was lockdown in Sydney. I was super depressed because who wasn't?
Obviously, yeah.
And
if you weren't depressed during lockdown,
something
like
wrong.
then you're actually the most
get in
fucked
the
up.
bin. Like,
Yeah,
honestly, I can't
seriously.
deal with people who are like, I actually loved it. I'm
People who were
fuck
like,
off.
oh, it was actually really great. I had a lot of me time. I'm like,
piss off.
you're the one who
Absolutely
should
not.
actually kill yourself.
Exactly.
Because like you're
100%. So yeah, I was just like, I was in the lockdown. I was super depressed because I wanted to be in London and I was in Sydney. And, I was just like, I'd put on weight. I felt like shit. I was just not doing well. By any means.
Yeah.
And I was back living at home. Like I had my brother and I were like living under the same roof again, which was super lovely. But like, my God, like he's a 4-year younger version of me, and we hate each other for it sometimes.
Yes,
so
of course.
it was just like butt heads left, right, and center. And I went to Bali to shoot this campaign.
In lockdown.
Literally the week before the lockdown happened.
Oh, okay.
It was like the week beforehand. We literally flew in like 2 days before the whole world shut down.
Also, that's very glam just to drop. Like, I went to Bali to shoot this campaign.
It was amazing. I was so shocked. And while I was there, the whole team were from the UK. So I was like super jealous that they were all flying back to England and I was flying back to Sydney. And I got along with the makeup artist like so well. We just like hit it off. And she was like, babe, you need to get like back on the dating apps. I was like, I'm really not in the right headspace. But I was seeing someone when I left London in 2019.
Yeah.
It fizzled because I got stuck in Australia.
Of course, yeah.
Because of course. And yeah, I was just like, I'm not ready. And she was like, do it. So we downloaded Hinge while I was in Bali. And all my dating apps were set to London still.
Oh,
And
so
I
you
was
just
like,
left
well,
them
I'm
on
a keeper
London.
like that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we're in a lockdown in
And you're
Sydney
gonna go
when I
back.
got home. And like, we were in Sydney as well. You couldn't even like leave your like area either.
Yeah, it was really
intense.
down there.
And so I was like, I can't even go cross city for a bang. So like, there's literally no reason for me to have this set to Australia.
I mean, to be fair, you're living with your mom and your brother, so like.
Also, no one's coming over there either. So
Yeah.
I was in a bit of a pickle. And so I kept everything set to London.
Right.
And I am shit on dating apps. I never reply. To messages.
I bet
95% of the time.
So, do you put up your modeling pictures though?
No, never. I
Because I was gonna
work
say,
in
do they think
marketing.
you're a catfish?
I don't know. I don't
Because
think
if you put up a
so.
bunch of modeling pictures, they'd be
Yeah.
like, "Hi, I'm a model. I'd like to girlfriend you,"
Yeah,
and they'd be like, most
No,
guys
no,
actually be like,
I,
"Oh, okay, yeah, this is real. This Russian model really wants."
Yeah, no,
me."
I don't have my Instagram attached to it. I have
Yeah,
like
that's good.
all my like normal pictures of myself, and I say I work in marketing. If anyone ever asks me what I do, like an Uber driver or anything, I say I work in marketing.
You just say marketing.
Marketing.
Oh, that's good.
I work in marketing.
I say I'm a receptionist to people.
Yeah,
Whenever they ask me, I'm
stunning.
like, I'm a receptionist.
Like
at an
what? Like
office.
what can you
And
think
they're
is
like,
boring and no one will? Press
Yeah,
you on
yeah,
it?
yeah.
That's it. So I work in marketing.
Okay, that's a good idea.
But yeah, so this guy like messaged me one night, and I don't know why, but I was compelled to reply. So I replied, and we just like hit it off, and we started chatting, and that was in the April of 2020. And like 2 weeks later, he was like, "Can I get your number?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, whatever." And I was literally sitting in
And
bed.
was it like constant day back and
It
forth?
was
of,
like constant.
Because I mean, you're both in lockdown, so all you have to do is like message each other.
That's it, right?
And
we
like
were both
sexting.
Not yet.
It hadn't gotten there yet.
Hadn't gotten there yet. But, you know, we were both in the creative field.
Yeah.
So, like, we had no work. So we literally had nothing to do.
What? So they do. What did he do?
He's a band and tour manager, and he
Okay.
owns a sync agency for music.
Sync agency.
Yes, they license
What's that?
music for digital media.
I've never heard of that
So,
before.
like,
Oh,
songs you see on the telly and like commercials and stuff. So
okay, cool.
So yeah, so like he's great. And yeah, we just like started chatting and it was lovely. Asked for my number and I was in bed. It was like a Saturday morning my time and I did not look cute. I'd had like a big night on the wines with my mum the night before on the couch and he just like FaceTimed me.
I love that though.
Rude.
No, I am here for it. I love that because I feel like how often, and this has happened to me where I've been talking to someone and then you meet up in person, you're like, what the fuck? And like, I went out with a guy once. We've been talking for like 2 weeks and we went out and he's like, hey, Kate, how are? And I was like, what? Wait, what the fuck?
That's horrifying.
So I insisted on doing like voice notes, FaceTime, that kind of stuff before the meet. And if you look like not your best, that's even better because then when you see them in person, you look fucking amazing.
See, now I get it.
Yeah.
Being on the other side of it, I get it. In the moment, I was like, what the fuck? And I like stuck a brush through my hair and I was like, my cup of tea, like, morning.
Yeah, just look up.
Nice to meet you. Anyway, fast forward, we were FaceTiming morning and night for 2 months. And I was like, I'm going to come back to London. Had I not met Dan, I probably would have stayed in Sydney for longer. But I wanted to come back to London.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I was like, I'm fairly certain I was pretty much already in love with him before I left Sydney.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, I'm doing this. I'm going. Visa office has opened. I went. I got my new permit and I was on a plane 2 weeks later. Mm-hmm. And
did you tell your family, your friends? Or like, your friends must have known.
Yeah, my girlfriends all knew. My girlfriends all knew the real reason.
Were they like, you're insane? Or were they like, well, you're going to go back to London anyway? Whatever.
I think they were like, this is quite typical behavior. So,
okay.
So they were like, just live your dreams. I think
such a romantic, so I love that.
This is the thing.
I'm like a dead, hopeless romantic. So you being like, I fell in love, I got on a plane. I'm kind of like, even if this blows up in your face, at least you had the fucking guts to just go for it.
Right. So
I love that.
I'd never been in love before. I thought I had been. Yeah. But I definitely hadn't been. Looping back to Twilight, I think the reason I was so obsessed
you
with
were in love with Edward.
I know. So my
looping back, he was the first love of my life.
No, my first boyfriend who refused to call me his girlfriend.
Love that energy.
He was a piece of shit.
Yeah, and probably had another girlfriend.
One had like 12.
Yeah.
When I remember talking to a girl at school once, and she was dating a guy in our grade, and we were in drama class together, and we had like a partnered thingy, and we were like staying after school one day, and she just like broke down in tears. And I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, I think I'm in love with my boyfriend. And I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Like, is this what love is like? And I remember like, being like, how do you know? And she's like, you'll just know.
Yeah.
And there I was in my room one day watching Twilight, and I was like, and I started crying, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with him. I love my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I sent him a text saying, babe, I just wanted to let you know I really love you.
Over text, perfect.
Right. And he replied saying, please don't call me babe.
No.
And that was it. That was the first time I've ever
I love you. And he said, please don't call me babe.
Over text. And
that is like, and how old were you?
16.
That is going to crush a 16-year-old.
Right?
Like that.
And then I continued sleeping with him for a whole year after that.
Of course, because we make bad choices and we hate ourselves.
Literally. And we hate ourselves. That's exactly
right. You said I love you and he said, don't call me babe. And you're like, okay, I'll just keep sucking your dick. No problem.
Literally. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So I was yeah. So then like, I don't know why I was so hung up on this like Twilight tattoo, because I haven't actually watched it since that moment because of like
I've never seen Twilight.
Oh my
God, I don't really
you
know.
have to do it to yourself. It's fucking terrible.
I've never seen Harry Potter or the Twilight.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm like, and I'm not trying to be like all contrarian and be like, oh like I don't like pop culture. Just for some reason, like I watched all the Hunger Games. Those ones never really like. I don't know if it's like I don't know. They just never.
I didn't love the Hunger Games.
Oh,
Twilight is shit. You got to prepare yourself for like the worst.
And no, I can't watch it now because I just fucking Kristen Stewart being like.
That's the best part. That's the best part. She's
like,
so
no.
good. Whereas like Harry Potter is like actually good though.
Yeah,
like,
my brother-in-law is fucking obsessed with it. And every Christmas they do a Harry Potter marathon. It's just like for like the 2 weeks over Christmas they play all the movies back to back to back to back.
Do you know what? It is the one series. I was saying this to a friend the other day. I probably I've read the Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
And I've probably seen all the films probably 10 to 12 times over.
Yeah.
And I still don't know the storyline. I still forget things.
Well, you are a model, so
I still just forget things. Like
you just read words and you're like, I have no idea.
It's fun because it's like watching them for the first time every time I watch them.
Oh my God, I love that.
Everything is ridiculous. But yeah, so I've never really had like a good track record with falling in love. And then I had,
Don't call me babe.
Honestly, it was just horrific. And I thought he and this is how fucked up in the head I was. When I read that message, I read it as just don't call me on the phone. And I thought he was calling me babe. How pathetic is that?
Oh my
And
God.
then I
Isn't
sat
that
there.
that happens though when like it is so funny. I've done this before where I've been with friends and like guy friends and girlfriends, and there'll be like a text exchange between a guy and a girl.
Yeah.
And the girls read it and they go, "Oh my God," he's like, "Don't call me babe." But then when the guy reads it, the guy's like, "No," he's saying, "Don't call me babe."
Like fucking
And like
don't
they
pet
have
name me.
we interpret it so differently.
We
You just kind of
do.
put your rose-colored glasses on and interpret it however
do.
you want to. You're like, "Oh no,
Honestly.
he told me he didn't want me to like be his like side piece." And like, so that means he must want me to be more. And they're like, "No, he literally doesn't like you at
want
all."
you at all. That's
Like,
it.
but we just interpret. Oh my
We
God.
do.
Yeah.
It is so sad, but that's
Yeah.
where my head was at. So I then refused to fall in love for years.
Yeah, I get
like,
that. I mean, that's fucking traumatizing.
traumatizing. So
Yeah.
I was like 16 when that happened, and I was 26 when I met Dan online, and so I had 10 years of like really hating myself
and
and
lots
really
of masturbation.
so much masturbation, and like, but also just like
Just
so
to
many-
hate masturbating.
so many like fucked experiences as well, like in
Yeah.
the dating world where, and I look back on my dating track record thinking there were probably some really like good people in there.
That you just never gave a shot to.
I never gave a shot to because I had such a low opinion of myself. I was just like, there's no way. Like I used to go on dates with guys and I'd literally be sitting there eating dinner with them. And my like inner narrative would be like, why are we even doing this? I know they just want to fuck me. It's like, should we just get this bit over with and just like do the sex and then never speak to each other again? Like,
Yeah.
how sad that is literally how my head worked. So
Yeah.
it took me like years and I had to go through all those experiences. Being on the other side of it now, I know it was all.
Did
I have
you
a
do
friend.
therapy?
I am in therapy.
Yeah.
Massively. But like my best friend has a thing she saw on a TikTok video and it's her new like saying for life. It's all for the plot line. And it is all for the plot line.
1,000%. Anytime, you know
Right?
what? I've only started thinking about that since I started doing comedy. When
Yeah.
when bad things would happen to me before, like I'd be on bad dates and be like,
Yeah.
wah, wah. Like, of course I'm the fucking dumpy side friend, like always.
Yeah.
But now when it happens, and since I started doing comedy, I was like, well, if this crashes and burns, it's gonna be a great story to
Great
tell on
story,
stage.
exactly.
It's all for the greater
the
good.
fucking
It's
plot
all for the
line.
plot line. I fucking love that. You got to be your own main character, man.
I am my own main character. I really stepped
You
into
give
that.
main character energy.
I really stepped
You
into that.
1,000%.
I
yeah.
really have. But like I used to give like fake main character energy.
But we
I didn't
all do
believe
when
it
we
myself,
were younger.
whereas now I actually genuinely believe it. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no. So I so I went through just a string of just shitty men and
Yeah.
you know shitty experiences, and I really really hated myself. But I don't know, when I started talking to this guy, it felt different. Like he was just nice to me, and I'd never had that before. And I know I'm a
Isn't that
strong
wild?
wild, and
That
like
we go,
I've-
oh my God, this is what it feels like to not be treated like a piece
like
of
a piece
shit.
of shit. And I know I've always been a really strong like commanding personality, and everyone in my life was always like, oh my God, I pity the man that ends up with you. Like you're gonna
Who
need,
said
like
that
everyone was
to
always
you?
like, you're going to have to find someone that like you know meets you halfway
I-
and challenges you. And all
I
it
pity
took
the man who ends up
all
with
it
you.
took was someone just to fucking be nice to me.
Literally.
And kind of actually be a little bit the opposite of me and like
Yeah.
level me out a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
and
Oh
bring
no,
me
I'm
down
the
to
same.
earth
I'm the
sometimes.
same. Yeah, yeah.
I like if I had a strong man who like fought me on everything.
Yeah.
My God, I'd be a mess. An
Yeah.
absolute mess. And so something just felt really different, and
Mm.
I could feel myself feeling things I'd never ever felt before, because
love
even though I told this guy when I was 16 that I was in love with him, I absolutely was not. Like,
Yeah.
I was Edward Cullen in love with him, which
Yeah.
is just shit and fake and just not real. So I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm moving to London
I love that.
properly. I'm going
Yeah.
to come. I feel like doing it in the lockdown almost gave me a premise of I knew I could come back if I really wanted to.
Of course.
But it would have made it harder to come back. And so I was
Yeah.
sort of making it hard for myself, which I quite enjoyed. Like,
Yeah.
go and do it and really give it a good shot, because it's not going to be as easy to come back.
I
So
do that
really
to
throw
myself
yourself
all
into
the
it.
time.
Yeah.
I put myself in like fucked up situations where I'll make it really hard on myself. But it almost, to me, I have this weird thing where I justify being like, it'll be better in the long run, or it's more worth it, or you'll be more
Right.
inclined to put in the work or do
Right.
what you need to do because it was so difficult.
Exactly.
I don't
And so
know.
that was
I'm
my
glad you think like this. I
right,
like,
so that
yeah.
was my mentality. And so I came over, and we'd had plans to meet that night. I was flying in on the Monday
I have this like
morning.
awful feeling of like every time I hear these kind of stories, it's like,
Yeah.
and then he no showed and I never spoke to him again.
Yeah, no, that did not happen. He was great. But like I remember I got off the overground at Homerton,
Mm-hmm.
and my bag weighed 41 kilos,
Perfect.
which was just disgusting. And it only had 3 wheels. It was missing a wheel.
Love it. Just like an absolute mess.
I was a hot mess. And
Yeah.
it was really, I arrived in the middle of the summer and I hadn't ever done a London summer and it was fucking hot. I didn't realize London got hot. So I had this huge sweater on. I was sweating like a pig. I did put a piece of gum in my mouth as I stepped off the train. I don't know what possessed me to do
I was going to say, did you not get all ready
Absolutely
to go?
Not. Because I was thinking that night. I landed at like 6 a.m. I was like, I'm going to fly, come home, sort my shit out, everything, happy days.
Yeah.
And I got to the bottom of the rail at Homerton Station and he was standing there. And
were you like, oh my God, yes?
I was like, oh my God, yes, this is everything I've ever wanted.
I love it.
Happy, happy days. And it was incredible. And we had a beautiful year and 3/4 together.
Yeah.
But we separated last April.
Okay.
And that's been the biggest thing that has ever happened, like ever in my life. I never ever knew that. I think you see it in movies, you read about it in books, you hear about it from friends and family and stuff, but my fucking two go through it. Holy shit. It is the worst. Like, I would not wish heartbreak on my worst enemy. Like, it is the shittest thing in the world. And I'm so happy that I let myself be vulnerable in that and have that experience because it has shaped me now, like 2023 me, in a different way that I never ever thought possible. Like, if I was me prior to meeting Dan, oh my God, I would still hate myself. I would just still be back in that. And I'm so glad I'm not. Like, I'm not like that anymore. And I think what I mourned about our relationship so much is how much I feel like he changed me for the better.
And then did you feel like you've lost it now because he's gone, or like that momentum of positive change is gone?
I think I lost it for a period of time.
Right.
Like, we're almost a year on from it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm probably only really like just coming good.
But
like,
that's what
it's taken time.
That's what they say. It's like basically you mourn a relationship for about half the amount of time you were in the relationship for, which I think is probably pretty true for a lot of people. Like,
for a lot of
people who go, oh, I'm in love and I'm in a relationship, and then 3 months later they're like, oh, I'm in love and I'm in a relationship with someone else. I'm like, there's no way that's real. There's just no way that shit is real.
That's the thing. And like, you know what? And like that's it. And there was a part of me that so wanted to lean into that and be like, just go find the next thing.
Yeah.
Stay on the train, go find the next thing. And I'm so glad I didn't. Like, I've been like closed for business for the whole year.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't literally, like, I've been completely shut off. And I've really actually quite liked that and dealing with it that way. I've been in intense therapy. Shout out to my therapist.
Intense therapy, intense masturbation.
Love her.
Doing it all.
But
love therapists. And love that you have a female therapist as well.
Oh my God, she's great.
I think it just makes a difference when you have a therapist that you can identify with a little bit more. Yeah.
Right. And I love her as well because she shares parts of herself as well, which make me...
Right? Are they not allowed to do that?
I have a stunning therapist.
Yeah. What does she just be like, oh, bitch, let me tell you.
Honestly,
give me the tea.
Literally. So, like, you know.
Is she even a real therapist?
No, she's just my best friend.
Just my bestie. Just some girl that I met on the train.
Yeah, no, she's great, but like, it does make me feel like I'm not insane.
Yeah.
And I feel really validated by the things she says. Like, you know.
So she's just your hype girl.
She's my hype girl,
I
right?
love that.
And like, you know, she's married and she'll be like, fucking not every relationship's perfect, Allie. And, you know, like, I see her life as like, you know, so shiny and happy and everything. And she's like, bitch, no, we've had our fair share of issues. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
There's
like,
no relationship that is perfect.
Right.
And you have to go through the shit. And I think as well, you're younger than me. And like when I was, oh my God, I sound so old, when I was your age. But like I was going through the shit. I was dealing with all this stuff. And it took me a long time to kind of like figure out who I was. And I swear, because you're not in your 30s yet, but I swear your 30s is like your best time.
I cannot wait.
Because you just come into it. It's
I cannot wait.
No more faking orgasms.
Right.
No more dealing with fuckboys.
Right.
No more dealing with these losers. You're just so much more sure of yourself.
Honestly.
And you, in relationships with friends, family, everything, you just become like, this is who I want to be as a person. This is who I want to. You're not trying to please anyone. No. I feel like you're coming into your best time. I'm just going to say it.
Are your 20s with money?
And
I'm here for that.
I mean, depends who you're talking to. A tiny bit more money.
And I'm here for that.
Yeah.
Because that's it. No, I'm genuinely so excited to turn 30. Like, I cannot wait. I know my 30s are going to like shit all over my 20s.
You look back and you're like, oh my God, I was so dumb. Or the things that I thought and be like, the things you put up with.
Right.
Do you ever talk to the guy? Have you talked to him since?
We have, like, we're in touch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were in touch.
Is he with anyone else?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
So you're not
know.
like, you're just like kind of touch base, but not like
yeah,
super
touch base,
involved.
but not. We were super in touch for a while afterwards, but that was probably more on my end because I just couldn't let go. And
mean,
I was just like,
it's
and
hard.
he broke up with me, so like it was, man, like fuck, it was knife to the heart.
Were you like, we are getting married, this is happening forever?
I must admit, like looking back on it now, I did struggle to see like a super far ahead in our relationship.
Okay.
But I was so adamant at the time that he was my person for right now.
Yeah.
And I was so content with that. And I was
Yeah.
just so happy. I was so happy. Like, I woke up every day like, oh, what is my life? Like, I was so happy. And then, obviously, when it ended, I became very not happy. And we split 2 weeks before my birthday, which was shit. And
2 weeks for your birthday.
oh my God, it was awful. Like, I literally went around to his house for dinner and we were like sitting there, and it was a bit of a weird dinner. Like, we'd had a bit of a chat about things a few weeks earlier. I'd really pushed for things to like keep going.
Right.
So it was a bit of an awkward dinner, but he like made dinner for us. We were having a lovely night and we were like chatting over dinner about like what we were going to do for my birthday and like plans for my birthday and all of this stuff. And then
You were chatting about plans for your birthday.
Yeah, we
Meanwhile,
were.
he knew in the back
I
of his
really
head.
wanted to do the Bake Off experience in
What's
East
the Bake
London.
Off
It's like Great
experience?
British Bake Off where you go and they have like the tent set up and you
What?
do like a rest. It's like the kitchen layout. That's what I wanted to do, and I'm
didn't
never
know
going
they
to do
had
it because it's
that.
like fucking traumatic in my head now. But like, yeah, they do
Oh.
this right.
Maybe you'll get to do like Celebrity Bake Off in the
I would
future.
love to do Celebrity Bake
And
Off.
then you
Holy
could,
hell.
oh my God, in the future you can do that, and then you can have
Right.
this whole like,
Right.
Because it's TV, they love trauma stories like that, right? So you can like
know.
cry as you bake a cake or something like that,
That's
and
gonna
they'll
be
fucking
me.
love
That's
it.
gonna be me. And yeah, and that's what I wanted to do. And we were literally like, we ate dinner and we were talking about that. We got into bed and he was like, I just have been thinking about things and I don't think I can do this anymore. And that was that. And then I had like a very dramatic exit because obviously my whole
You are an actress.
like everything I knew about love I've taken from movies and books and
But I
everything.
think so many of us have. Like we
Right?
just go, oh, this what it's. But it's like the same. I think women take that from movies and stuff, and men take everything they know about like sex. It's all from porn.
Exactly.
So it's like we're all fucked up.
We're all
but like
fucked.
I get
We're
you
all
wanting to be
fucked.
dramatic. What did you do? What was your big exit?
I
Slamming the door and be like, oh.
I got up, I like put all my clothes on, and I was like, I can't believe you're doing this to us. And then I walked out and he didn't come after me. And I was like, and I just
That's it. It's when they
I
don't
got
come
to-
after you. You
right?
go, fuck.
And I got to the door and I was like, no, I'm going back in.
Oh, did you?
And I went back in and
Dramatic exit.
dramatic exit,
Re-entrance.
like reset the scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it was so awful. Like I've just, I couldn't even, I think I went a bit insane. Like I had such a rush of emotions to my bodies. I've just never experienced half of the emotions before. And then to have them all at once was so overwhelming. And I didn't know what to say, where to look, what to do. And we sort of spoke about things a little bit and I didn't want to leave. So I asked to stay the night. Like I look back at myself in that moment and I'm like, fuck.
No, but I don't think you could be hard on yourself
And
for
I
stuff
try,
like
and
that.
I try not to be. And like I know off the plot line, like it's all a learning experience. But I look back and I just think like, oh, like I look back on myself as such a small person in that moment. And I'm just like, oh, that poor like
No,
poor
see,
babe.
I
Like-
always think like you can't be mean to yourself like that because you did what you thought was best at the time with all the
Exactly.
information you had.
Exactly.
You're trying to make your best choice. It's fucking hard. Here's someone you're in
Yeah.
love with, you want to be with, who's just
Right?
broken your heart.
It's awful.
And
But like he's wonderful in that he's always really held me.
sounds
in
like a
those-
piece of shit to me.
He is great and he's always really
That's the
held
worst,
me
too.
in those moments. And I think that's what makes it so hard. Like I talk to my therapist and I'm like, I wish he fucking cheated on me so I could hate
Yeah.
him. Because I have no reason to hate him. And the reasons why he ended things, I just can't hate him for either. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the fact that he's not ready and his head's somewhere else and all these things. The shitty thing for him to do would be to have stayed with me.
Yeah.
And for us to be separating now and absolutely fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
That would have been the mean thing to do. And he didn't do that. Like he was honest and he was communicative and he was all the things they're meant to be. And I'm like, oh. So I can't hate him for it. And it's made it really, really shit. And I do think that falling in love, moving to London, throwing all my eggs into the basket, having it all ripped out from underneath me has really altered my brain chemistry and has really fucking changed me.
And how do you think it, like, what do you think's your biggest sort of lesson takeaway from it? And like, how do you think you're going to be now in future relationships?
I am so excited to fall in love again
Oh,
and
I
to be
love that.
vulnerable again.
See, I love that you're open for it and you're
oh my
not all
God,
jaded.
Exactly. And like, this is
Yeah.
the thing, like this was half my fear of falling in love in the first place was what if it doesn't work out? And what if all those things that you think it's going to be just aren't there and all this stuff. And I was so fearful of it. I was so fearful of it, but I hated myself. And that's why I didn't really see myself as worthy of ever experiencing that. And I was getting to the point where I was like 26, and it's really depressing when you reach an age where you start watching rom-coms and they're younger than you.
Oh my God.
Like,
Yes.
honestly, like,
And then like, I'm so old. I'm
know, and
about
I'm
to
like,
turn 25.
right?
And you're
And I'm
like, bang.
and they're like, fuck my life. And I'm like, you live in a 1-bed flat in central London. Like, you've got a high-flying job. You're hot as
Even
shit.
it's that shit with Bridget Jones. Remember when she was like, oh my God, I have the worst life. And everyone's like, you were 135 pounds. You lived in Zone 1 in London.
You had a great
You had
job.
at the publishing company. You were fucking Hugh Grant and
Right.
Colin Farrell. You're doing fine, girl.
fine,
And she was
babe.
like, I'm depressed. And everyone else was like, our
And I
life is
hate
way
that.
worse.
And I hate that. And so I was getting
Yeah.
to this point where I was like, maybe I'm just too old. Maybe it'll never happen for me. I was like, maybe I'll just be that person.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like one of those aunts who lives vicariously through all their like siblings,
All my
kids,
cats.
and all my cats and all my friends' kids. And that's just going to be my life.
Yeah.
And I was really starting to attempt to become okay with that.
Like just to lean into
Just
the
like
cat
really
lady
lean into that
lifestyle.
life. And then I met Dan, and I'm so grateful that I had that experience.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't end the way I wanted it to, it literally has changed me for the better in so many ways. And even coming out of it, like my Uber driver was my therapist on the way. So I stayed the night at Dan's.
Yeah.
And I just laid next to him and I just cried for like 7 straight hours. We got up the next morning, we had a little bit of a chat, and then like a movie, we walked to the like.
Did you have
end of
sex
his-
that night?
No.
Okay, that's good.
No.
I support you.
Yeah, right. And we got to the like edge of his road, and he was walking one way and I was walking the other, and we
Very
walked
movie
walked
scene.
about 10 steps, and we turned around and we looked at each other, and that was that, and we walked off. And I then got in my Uber and I was like, I'm calling my mom, my brother, my best friend. No one's answering.
Yeah.
And my
That is
Uber
the worst.
after about 10 minutes, my Uber driver just like looks in the rear vision mirror and was like, is everything okay, Allie? And I was like, my boyfriend just broke up with me. And he sat at the end of my road with me for probably like 20, 25 minutes. And
Your Uber
My Uber
driver.
driver, and just spoke to me about his marriage and his relationships.
That is
and
beautiful.
Oh my God, it was literally like and then everyone is like calling me back in this moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, rejecting all the calls. And he was just, oh my gosh, like his name was Praheen, and
Praheen, shut up,
I
Praheen.
honestly, like, what a fucking legend, because
Tell me you gave him 5 stars and a good
I gave him
tip.
5 stars. I gave him a stellar fucking tip. And he was just the best. And he was like, here's my number. He was like, if you need anything, just call me. Like, literally the
Oh.
sweetest man alive. He had like 3 kids, and him and his wife were
Wow.
getting divorced. And like, we were really going through
Oh,
it together.
he
He
was
cried. I cried. Like, it
No.
was beautiful. And then I just got into my room.
I feel like that's what changed your life. Your emotional
Right,
Uber
my emotional
driver.
Uber driver, and yeah, and I just like I remember just like getting into my room, and it's like I got out of the Uber, and like everything was just like really grey. It's the first time I'd seen London through like a really grey.
Of course, because you came back and you were like, love, everything's great,
It
and
was
I'm in
summer,
love with
like,
everything.
all this stuff was happening, and it was just really grey.
And now you're like this fucking city.
right, and it was really depressing.
And what month was it? Because it
It
would
was
have been
April,
Okay.
and
So it's warming up.
warming up, and I literally like I called my mum, and she was like, "Do you want to come home?" And I said no, because I don't think I'll ever come back.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Should I come to you?" And I was like, "Bitch, do you want to meet me in Nice?"
Yeah.
So we went to the south of France together, and
love
my mum
that.
flew over. So
I
was
love your
there.
mom.
She's the best.
Stifler's
She
mom.
really is the best.
She's fucking cool.
She's great, and so we went, and that's where I was for my birthday, and my
love
my
that.
mum's dad lives down there, so I was with family, and it was really beautiful. But I look back, and then my nan's from Liverpool. My nan's a Scouser, and she lives in Australia. So we flew my nan over. And my mum, my nan, and I had this like European summer holiday together.
Like
Then-
3 generations.
Right. Then my 2 best girlfriends flew over, and I look back, and I like
love that.
last year on paper, if you'd read what my year was like post April, it is like a flippin'. I could write a whole book about how amazing it was. Like
Yeah.
on paper, you must be like, bitch, this chick has like the best life ever. And I just look back, and I was so sad for all of it, and I hate how sad I was for so long. But this one, my therapist is like, Allie, you've got to go through it all. Like
Yeah.
you can't skip shit.
You just have to feel what you're feeling.
Right? And
yeah.
everyone said it in the moment. Everyone was like, oh, I know it's not what you want to hear, but like time's the biggest healer. And I was like, no, that's not what I want to fucking hear. Like,
I know, but it is,
but
though.
it is, and it's so true.
Yeah.
And now being a year on, like, my God, it is. I actually think that time is potentially the only healer. Like,
Yeah.
I literally look at it, and there's so many things that I think are just like quick fixes and things you can do to make you feel good about yourself and ego boost and all this stuff. But time is like the number one thing.
Yeah.
And you just need to let yourself feel it because there's just no in between for it. Like,
I love that your nan came over, your mom came over, your besties.
I have the best support network in the world.
That
my friends and family are stellar individuals.
Did you get your nan like her nipples pierced too?
I wish. No, my nan had a crazy night out at the Cavern Club with us in Liverpool, and that was her.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
That was her thing, and yeah. So I look back at the whole year, and I was really sad, but I have done more in the last year than I have in my entire life.
Good for you.
Which is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I
sort of did it light like a fire under you a little bit to just go like
huge fire.
I want to just fucking go
right?
for it.
And I don't think I realized as well like how lost I was in that relationship as well. And he was also always really quite vocal and supportive of me having my own life. And he was always, you know, as being really aware that I was an expat and I didn't have my support network here, and that wasn't a thing for me. And, you know, his whole family's here, and, you know, that was always a big thing. But he was always like, you need to have your own independence.
100%.
And it was my first big relationship, and I didn't know how to do it, and I lost my independence completely.
And you were just all him.
I was all him, and like I loved that I let myself do that, but I loved that I've learned the lesson of how toxic that can be as well. Because it was like, you know, I'd message him and be like, babe, do you want to go to the movies tonight? And he'd say, I'm really sorry, babe, I've got a work meeting, and I just like wouldn't go to the movies.
Yeah. Do you do that now? Do you go to the movies?
I go to the movies. I do everything on my own.
I love doing stuff on my own.
I love it. I've completely fallen back in love with myself.
Yeah.
And
take yourself out on dates.
Right. And I think this is it. Like falling in love with another person in this like weird fucked up way has made me like fall in love with myself.
I love that.
Through it ending, you know, because I never loved myself before I met Dan. And then he showed me like so much compassion, and I was like, oh my God, maybe another person can love me. But I think what he taught me, he was teaching me how to love myself.
Yeah.
Like that was my big take away from that relationship. And now I'm in this place where like, my God, I've got so many hobbies. I'm a hobby person now.
Yeah.
Like I go to dance classes on a Saturday. I do pottery. Like I do so much that I never would have done before.
And now that makes you so much more attractive to your next partner you meet. They're gonna be like, look at this fucking cool chick who's got all these hobbies, has this whole life, has this whole network, and you just make yourself so much more attractive because you have this whole energy about you where you're just like, I'm living my best life, and someone goes, I want to be a part of that.
Exactly.
I love that.
And that's the vibe I'm on at the moment. And like, and I've fallen in love with so many things in the like I've fallen back in love with like all my friendships.
Yeah.
Which has just been like so special. Like I've just got back from Oz, and it was just such a nice trip. Like I've really reconnected with so many people. But not that I'd lost connection with them. It's just I've learned another level of love since I've last seen them all. And so I've got this like whole new side of me to offer that I never really had before.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've fallen back in love with London. Fuck, I love London.
Does your family see the change in you? Do they think you're different?
100%. Like,
oh, wow.
When I went back in February last year, my dad got married, and I went back home, and my mum was like, you're just so happy. And like Dan and I were still together and everything was great. And I was like, yeah, I am really happy. Like I'm seeing life in a different way and everything. Yeah. And then obviously when she came here and it was, she's like, you're very sad. Yeah. And I think she found it really hard to leave me because she was very worried.
Of course.
I was like, Mom, I'm going to be fine. I was like, I will be fine. I'm not fine right now, but I will be.
Yeah.
And, you know, I kind of apologized to everyone when they left here last year because I was like, I'm just so sorry. I've been so sad. Like, I'm so sorry.
That's what having friends and families, like, you don't need to apologize for being in that space.
And then, you know, when I got back, they were like, oh my God, here's the old her coming back out, but in a bigger and better way. Because the old me was like great to a certain extent.
Of course.
But I was still fucking damaged on the inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's so much that comes with just like being happier and everything for me. Like falling in love was an expression of vulnerability for me that I'd never really experienced before. And being vulnerable has allowed me to just let go of so much shit. Like just let go of stuff like baggage, trauma. It's just been literally the best thing that's ever happened to me.
I love this change. So tell me something that you hope in your life never changes. What's something you have right now that you hope never ever changes?
I never, ever, ever want to lose myself ever again. And no matter how much I let myself fall into these emotions, I have to kind of remember myself in these moments. Like, I'm a very like empathetic person, a very sympathetic person. I love the idea of putting everyone else before myself. I really do. And I do in a lot of my actions and, you know, things I say and things I do. But I kind of have to remember myself in some things and also remind myself that that's not being selfish.
Yeah.
That's just looking after me as well.
Yeah.
Because I think going through that experience and losing myself in it, I think that's why it's taken me so long to recover from it, is because I lost myself in all those feelings. And I'm so glad I felt them all. But now that I have had that experience of feeling those things, the next time I feel them again and the next time I'm that vulnerable with someone and someone knows me that well, like Dan knows more about me than any person on this planet. So,
but I love that.
And I love that. And I love that he does. And I love that I gave that to another person. But I don't ever want to lose myself in that, because I really did lose myself in
That's
it.
a very good answer.
You know, like I really lost myself in all those feelings.
Yeah.
So when I'm vulnerable again, I'm glad that I'm going to be coming at it from a place of experience. Like all those feelings when they happen again are going to be familiar feelings, which I'm so excited about. Because in when you first have all those things, they're fucking terrifying. Like it's so scary to feel all those things for the first time.
Yeah.
Whereas now that like I felt them, I'm so excited to feel it all again.
And just dive in.
And dive in, be it with a partner, a friend, an experience, a job opportunity. Like I'm really letting myself just like lean into things now, because I was very closed off for a very long time. So this has just been the best thing I ever could have gone through.
I love that. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're amazing.
So fun.
Is there anything you want to like plug? Or I know this won't be out before then, but you're walking London Fashion Week.
Walking London Fashion Week next week.
Which is amazing. And people, I'll add all your socials like on the descriptions of the podcast and everything. So people can follow you. Because also you're just gorgeous and have like a beautiful Instagram as well.
Thank you. No, like,
and you have to start TikTok.
I will. I will.
Because you could just do like, even like silent ones with clothes and stuff. You'll be good.
I could. I'll be good. I'll find my thing. I'll find my niche. But yeah, like obviously like my DMs are open for everyone. I clearly love a chat.
DMs open for everyone?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe now.
Okay.
Maybe as of the last
Don't date a comedian. That's all I'll say.
Well, there's one in my DMs, so
Oh my God, really? After we go off, you're telling me. Yeah, you're telling me who it is.
But yeah, no, just my DMs are always open to me. It take me like 6 to 8 business weeks to reply, but that's okay. We get there eventually. Yeah. But I love a chat, so
thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
You're amazing. Thank you.
You're amazing.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for listening. Bye.